Dear viewers, if you are an NRI, one of the things you constantly keep tracking is what is the exchange rate between dollars and the rupees? What may happen to rupee in the next few months? When should I transfer my money back into India? These are the genuine questions that are always existent on an NRI's mind. In this episode, I am going to discuss what might happen to rupee in the coming months and in the coming years. This is NRI Money Clinic for you, and I am Dr. Chandrakant Bhatt, investment consultant and a financial planner.
NRI Money Clinic. No hype, just the right advice.
Whether rupee is going to become stronger or dollar is going to become stronger, or to put it in a very general way, which currency is going to become stronger and weaker depends on demand and supply in the short term and inflation difference between two countries in the long term. So what happens immediately is a pure demand and supply. What happens in the long term? It is dictated by how much of inflation is there in India and how much of inflation which is there in the US. This is the equation between the rupee and the dollar. Now let us look at the demand and supply here for a while. Now the demand for dollars will always come from India for its imports. India is dependent on the world for its energy supplies. Oil and gold are the major imports of India. The third major import of India are the defense articles, maybe an aircraft, maybe the other things which are used in the defense. These are the three major items India imports. Likewise, India also needs money for other reasons. The demand for dollars can come from travelers. The demand of dollars can come from students who are studying outside of India. Demand of dollars can come because people have to remit forex for settlement of some transactions outside of India. So these are all the places from where the demand for dollar will come from. Where will the supply of dollar come from? The supply of dollars come from export of goods. You supply goods and services to countries outside and you get dollars in exchange. That is a supply. As NRIs, you remit money back home. So NRIs are also a source of dollars. Likewise, the corporates will also borrow from outside of India and bring those dollars. So these will become the source of dollars. At any given point of time, the demand and supply will dictate which currency will be stronger and which currency will be becoming weaker. At any point of time, Reserve Bank of India will also maintain the forex reserves. The forex reserves is depleting if the imports are higher and exports are lower, and forex will increase when the exports are higher or the inflow of dollars are higher and imports are lesser. The forex maintained by RBI will help to balance out periodical differences that might come between imports and exports. This will dictate in the short term what happens between the exchange rate of two currencies. But in the long run, what dictates is the inflation which exists between two countries. Now let's say India has to export goods to US. So the US will import goods only when it finds it cheaper to import it from India. So it has to remain cheaper and then only it will pick up goods and services from India. Now if the inflation picks up in India, which means there is a price rise year after year, the goods and services which are being exported from India become expensive. As a result of this, the exports will come down. When exports come down, the supply of dollar comes down. As a result, the dollar can become expensive. To offset this, what happens is the price of rupee gets lowered or rupee goes down in value and sets right a proper exchange rate between dollar and the rupee. Now, if India has 5% inflation and US has 5% inflation, they are in a state of equilibrium from an inflation point of view. So, inflation will not affect in such a case the equation between the two, only the demand and supply which will create a ripples in the forex market. Now, our point of interest in this video is where is rupee heading against the dollar or what happens to rupee dollar equation. Will rupee remain here around 75 per dollar, or will rupee get devalued, or will rupee become stronger? What might happen in the months ahead, or what could happen in the years ahead? Let us try to arrive at a decision based on the data points what we see today happening in the Indian economy. First, let us look at the forex. For most part of independent India, India was struggling with the forex. It had very meager forex resources which were available to us. But what's happening right now is something major thing is happening. India is sitting on a forex kitty of around $650 billion. Yes, that's a huge forex kitty India has amassed at the moment. It's so huge that this is the fifth largest forex kitty in the world. There are very few countries which have more than this as a forex accumulation. How did this happen? This happened because of structural changes in the economy. Because economy is doing well, there is a lot of money which is coming into India by way of FII investment. Yes, in the last 6 months, because markets have corrected, there is a net outflow from the FII segments. But look at FDIs, the foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment, the money comes in, it gets into factories or infrastructure. It's a sticky money which will stick here. It will come as physical infrastructure. It can't be pulled out in a hurry. In the year 2021, India received the highest FDI in its history. It got about $80 billion as the FDI in India. Because of all this, the forex is constantly rising now. The amount of forex that we have today is more than the money India owes to the rest of the world, and that's happening for the first time. All the time, India had less forex and it owed more money to the rest of the world. But today, India is in a position where it has more forex than the money it owes to the rest of the world. It means your forex is in excess of your owings to the rest of the world. So, based on the forex, rupee can be well defended. So, there is no threat for rupee which is coming from depletion of forex. In fact, there is a good chance rupee can hold here or it might get appreciated also. Now let us look at the other components now. Now let us try to see what's happening in the import sector. India is a growing economy. It has a lot of energy needs. Constantly the need for energy is rising. That means its import bill has to rise. India's major import is oil, energy. Now there is a constant push and an active intervention and something happening on the ground. Now the e-vehicles that are coming in, the green energy push, the renewables, the hydrogen energy and ethanol as a source of energy is making the import bills coming under control. I won't mean to say here that our imports are going to come down, but the runaway demand for imported energy might get muted in the years ahead. Likewise, one another important part of imports is the defense equipment. Now, as per the Atmanirbhar Bharat, I saw the latest budget figures. So, 68% of the defense related equipments will get manufactured in India. That means a demand for imported goods from the defense sector is going to come down. So both these counts are very positive for rupee, and on this count, the demand for dollars might come in or become muted in India. Now let us look at the supply of dollars, what's happening. Let us look at the export side. Now there is a drive here to make in India. That means India is extending red carpet to companies around the world to come and make it in India and export from here. So which means to say India as a manufacturing hub is gaining ground. Already it's a power now in the electronic space. Probably in years ahead it will show its strength in other areas as well. India was an agrarian economy to start with. When the IT revolution came, it suddenly moved into the service sector. Any growing economy will normally go through first agrarian, then comes into manufacturing and finally moves into the servicing sector. But in case of India, what happened was it moved directly from agrarian to a service economy. The manufacturing did not get caught up in between. Now that space is being captured now, and because of which the exports from India will rise. If I have to believe the reports, all the IT companies in India at the moment are in a recruitment spree. So, why are they recruiting people? Because there is a demand for their services from other countries, which means to say IT services will also increase. It means to say exports might catch up in years ahead. What about the other sources of dollars? FIs for the time being have become net sellers in Indian market. During the last 6 months, they have sold a lot of money and they have taken it outside of India. Whereas FDI, foreign direct investment, now this is in great demand. In 2021, as I said, India received approximately $80 billion worth of investment and it is still growing. Day after day, there are more inquiries and more interest to invest in India. So the supply of dollar is on the rise. Demand for dollars is muted or might go down as times pass by. So from a short term perspective, Rupee is not in danger. Government is sitting on a huge forex kitty. Supply of dollars as well as the demand for dollars are quite well balanced. As a result, the chances of rupee staying around the present level is very, very real. Till now, I discussed the short term trend. Let us look at what's happening at the long term level. Are there any structural changes which are visible at the moment? Now, for example, as I mentioned, inflation dictates which currency is going to become stronger or weaker. Now, let us look at what is happening with inflation in US as well as in India. India had a very high inflation in the many years past. But in the recent past, in the last 4 to 5 years, we have to acknowledge that Indian inflation came down below 5%. Currently, there is an uptick in inflation, no doubt about it, but that's either seasonal or maybe could be temporary, or how it will pan out, the time will decide. But it has moved away from a very high inflation economy to a moderate inflation economy in the last 4 to 5 years. What's happening in the United States? United States was struggling to kick an inflation of 2% for many long years. Right now, US has problem of inflation on its hand. The recent figures are showing the inflation in US is getting stickier, and inflation in US today is in a band of 6 to 7%. US has an inflation of 6 to 7%. There is an inflation of around 5% plus or minus 1 or 2% in India. So inflation is balanced between these two countries. From an inflation perspective, I do not see much of a movement that might happen in dollar and rupee. So both from a long term perspective as well as from a short term perspective, the prospects of rupee appear to be quite bright. Rupee may stick around at this particular level, or rupee might get depreciated maybe by 2%, maybe by 3% per year in the next 5 to 10 years. So when I say rupee might get depreciated by 2 to 3%, it may not happen every year. It may not do anything for next 5 years, and suddenly in one single year it might go down by 10%. That is to compensate for the 5 years where it did not depreciate. Is it something of a concern for anyone who is investing in India? People always think, if I invest in India, what happens to I might lose value in dollar terms. Now let's look at this. If your money that you have invested using the dollars, you sent dollars to India, you bought rupee, and rupee went down by 2 to 3% because of the rupee depreciation as per the data points that I gave you. That means a loss of value on dollar because of inflation could be 2 to 3% per year. Imagine if you are making 10% in India on your investment, you made 10% on the rupee terms and you lost 2 to 3% on rupee devaluation, you still make 7% on the dollar terms. And that's huge considering the interest rates in United States are at 0% level at the moment. How much could you be making in India going forward? if the budget figures are to be believed, or if the data points that are available in the public domain are to be believed, India is growing at about 9% in real terms now. Add to that an inflation component of 4 to 5% or 6%, whichever the figure you want to take. Even if I go by a conservative estimate, as things stand today, the nominal growth that is happening in India is real GDP 9%, add an inflation of 4%, a 13 to 15% growth is happening in India. So without any hesitation, there is a scope for NRIs or anyone else to invest in India without worrying about rupee collapsing against the dollar. Those days have changed, and probably we are heading into days where rupee will remain stable against the dollar or maybe slowly slide over many years. Dear viewers, the video that I have done today helped you to understand what might happen to rupee against the dollar in the months and years ahead. Please like this video. If you are a person who is watching this channel for the first time, or if you are yet to subscribe for this channel, please hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Thank you very much for watching this episode on NRI Money Clinic. I shall be back with you with yet another interesting topic very soon.
Press the bell icon for more details and subscribe our channel.